If you are an older man watching this late at night, replaying conversations in your head, wondering where things shifted with a younger woman, listen carefully. This is not a motivational speech. This is not dating advice you hear everywhere. This is the warning about girlfriends nobody gave you, especially if you are an older man dating younger women. Most men only understand this after they've lost her emotionally, not when she leaves, but when she stops responding the same way. Attraction doesn't die in an argument, it dies in silence, and silence almost always comes after hesitation. Younger women don't walk away because older men are boring or unattractive. They walk away because the man they expected to lead chose to wait. I've seen this pattern repeat itself with men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s who thought being careful was the same as being confident. It isn't. Confidence moves. Caution freezes, and when a younger woman chooses an older man, she is choosing experience, decisiveness, and emotional grounding, not endless patience. The tragedy is that older men often believe their age requires them to be extra restrained, extra polite, extra unsure. But psychologically, younger women are already braced for leadership from you. When it doesn't appear, confusion sets in. I once spoke to a man named Robert, 55 years old, divorced, financially stable, emotionally mature. He met a woman 22 years younger. She initiated contact, asked deep questions, laughed easily, stayed engaged. Robert thought, I don't want to assume anything. Weeks passed. Conversation stayed safe. No direction, no forward movement. She slowly became distant. One day she said, "You're a great guy, but I don't feel the spark." What she meant was, you never stepped into the role I expected you to take. This is what most men don't understand. Younger women rarely articulate these expectations. They feel them. They test quietly. They observe how you respond when a moment opens up. Do you guide it, or do you let it drift? This video, Older Men, the warning about girlfriends nobody gave you, exists because too many men blame the wrong things when attraction fades. They blame age, they blame culture, they blame luck. They never realize the real issue was psychological timing, and timing is leadership. If this kind of insight matters to you, make sure you like this video and subscribe now, because what I'm sharing here isn't about chasing women. It's about understanding the biological and emotional expectations younger women already place on older men. Younger women are drawn to older men not because of money alone, but because older men represent structure. Structure is safety. Structure is calm. Structure is direction. When you remove direction, you remove the very thing that attracted her in the first place. And here's the painful part. When she stops feeling that structure, she doesn't always leave immediately. She gives space. She tests again. She watches closely. And when nothing changes, she emotionally disconnects before you ever realize you're losing her. Most older men think the danger is moving too fast. In reality, the danger is standing still while she's waiting for you to move. One of the biggest misunderstandings older men have about younger women is assuming that silence means comfort. Silence often means uncertainty. Younger women who are interested in older men rarely push directly. They invite, they hint, they open doors emotionally and watch to see if you walk through them. When an older man responds with hesitation, overthinking, or neutrality, the door quietly closes. This is not manipulation, it's instinct. Younger women are biologically wired to observe how men handle ambiguity. When she asks you about your plans, your opinions, your schedule, or even your past relationships, she's not interviewing you. She's watching how you hold your ground. Older men often respond by trying to be agreeable. They soften their opinions. They avoid strong statements. They say things like, "I'm flexible," or "I don't want to pressure you." But what they don't realize is that flexibility without leadership feels empty. A younger woman doesn't want to be pushed, but she does want to be guided. There's a massive psychological difference. I remember a man in his early 50s who told me, "She keeps asking what restaurant I like, where I want to go, what I think we should do next." He thought she was indecisive. In truth, she was giving him opportunities to lead. Each time he said, "whatever you want," she lost a little attraction.
not because she wanted control, but because she wanted clarity. Older men often confuse kindness with passivity. Kindness is grounded, passivity is avoidant. Younger women can feel the difference instantly. Another subtle sign a younger woman is waiting for you to lead is how she reacts to delays. When she gives you emotional access and you delay action, she doesn't complain immediately. She pulls back slightly. She replies slower. She becomes less expressive. Most men misinterpret this as her losing interest naturally. In reality, it's a response to unmet expectation. She expected movement. She got waiting. Over time, waiting feels like rejection, and no woman wants to chase clarity from a man who is supposed to embody it. Older men also tend to overuse logic when emotions are required. They explain why timing isn't right. They justify caution. They outline future possibilities instead of present decisions. Younger women don't connect to potential. They connect to presence. Presence is what makes her feel safe. Presence is what signals leadership. I've seen men lose incredible connections simply because they kept everything theoretical. Maybe someday. We'll see. Let's not rush. These phrases feel responsible to an older man. To a younger woman, they feel like emotional distance. And once a woman emotionally reframes you as distant, the bond weakens fast. The cruel irony is that older men think they're protecting the connection by slowing it down. In reality, they're starving it. Attraction needs movement, not pressure. Leadership is movement without force. And when a younger woman stops feeling that movement, she doesn't argue, she disengages. This is why so many older men feel blindsided when things end. The signs were there, they were just subtle. As men age, their fear shifts. Younger men fear rejection. Older men fear embarrassment, misjudgment, and appearing inappropriate. That fear quietly erodes leadership if left unchecked. Younger women sense this fear even when you don't speak it. They sense it in hesitation, in overly careful language, in the lack of decisive action. One of the most overlooked signs a younger woman is waiting for an older man to lead is how she gives you emotional responsibility. She shares personal stories. She opens up about stress, confusion, or past mistakes. This is not random vulnerability. It's a test of containment. She wants to see if you can hold emotional space without retreating. When an older man responds with excessive reassurance, fixing, or avoidance, she feels unsupported. When he listens, grounds the moment, and calmly offers direction, trust deepens. Many older men mistakenly believe leadership is about dominance. It isn't. Leadership is emotional steadiness. It's the ability to move things forward without panic. Younger women are drawn to this because it contrasts with the emotional volatility they often experience with younger men. But when an older man collapses into uncertainty, he loses that contrast. Another painful mistake older men make is waiting for explicit permission. Attraction rarely gives written consent. It gives windows, and windows close. Younger women expect older men to recognize those windows. When you don't, she begins to feel invisible, not unseen physically, but emotionally. She starts thinking, if he can't read this moment, can he read me? That question alone can undo attraction. I've heard younger women say, he's sweet, but something feels off. That something is usually lack of leadership. Older men often assume attraction is fragile and must be handled delicately. In reality, attraction is resilient when it's led correctly. What breaks it is confusion. Confusion makes a woman anxious. Anxiety kills desire. The saddest part is that older men often blame themselves harshly after losing a younger woman. They replay every word, every message, every pause. They assume they weren't enough. But the truth is simpler and harder to accept. They didn't step forward when she emotionally leaned in. Leadership doesn't mean rushing intimacy. It means acknowledging momentum and guiding it. When a younger woman feels that guidance, she relaxes. When she doesn't, she becomes guarded. Guarded energy feels like disinterest, and once that cycle starts, recovery is rare. This is why understanding these dynamics early is critical, not to manipulate, but to align with the role you're already expected to play. Older men who embrace this role don't chase, they don't convince, they simply lead calmly, and attraction follows naturally. Those who resist it often find themselves asking the same question over and over again. What did I do wrong? The answer is rarely something you did. It's usually something you didn't do when it mattered most. As attraction develops, younger women begin to shift their behavior in ways most older men completely misread. One of the most revealing moments is when she slows down and watches you. She becomes quieter, more observant, less expressive than before. Older men often interpret this as her losing interest or becoming unsure. In reality, this is often the moment she is deciding whether you are capable of leading the emotional direction of the connection. Younger women do this unconsciously. They stop carrying the emotional momentum and wait to see if you will pick it up. When an older man fills this silence,
As time goes on, one of the most dangerous illusions older men fall into is believing that consistency alone will maintain attraction. Consistency is important, but consistency without leadership slowly turns into predictability, and predictability without emotional direction feels flat to a younger woman. Younger women are not attracted to chaos, but they are attracted to emotional momentum. When an older man becomes emotionally static, always available in the same way, always responding the same way, always showing up without guiding the connection forward, attraction plateaus. Many older men think this plateau is safety. In reality, it's stagnation. Younger women don't need drama, but they do need to feel progression. Progression signals growth, growth signals vitality, and vitality is deeply attractive. One of the subtle signs she is waiting for you to lead is when she stops initiating emotional depth but still stays connected. She continues to respond, continues to spend time, but stops opening new emotional doors. She's waiting to see if you will create the next step. When you don't, the connection becomes routine. Routine without leadership feels empty. I've seen men lose younger women not because they did something wrong, but because they did everything the same for too long. They stopped introducing new emotional experiences. They stopped setting direction. They became comfortable while she became bored. Boredom is rarely about entertainment, it's about emotional predictability. Younger women want to feel that the man they're with is still steering the ship. When the ship feels like it's drifting, anxiety replaces attraction. Another mistake older men make at this stage is assuming reassurance equals security. They constantly check in, ask how she feels, and seek confirmation that everything is okay. While this seems caring, it subtly shifts the emotional burden onto her. Instead of feeling held, she feels responsible for your emotional certainty. Leadership means you are okay even when things feel unclear. Younger women feel safest when they sense that uncertainty won't destabilize you. When you seek reassurance too often, you communicate that her emotions control your state. That dynamic erodes attraction quickly. Younger women want to lean into men, not prop them up emotionally. Another sign she's waiting for leadership is when she introduces friction. She may challenge you lightly, disagree more openly, or test your boundaries. This is not conflict for conflict's sake, it's curiosity. She's asking, does this man have a spine? When older men respond by softening themselves to avoid tension, attraction drops. Calm firmness increases respect. Respect fuels desire. Leadership doesn't avoid friction, it navigates it without escalation. Many older men are conflict-averse because they associate conflict with loss. In dating psychology, avoidance often creates the very loss you fear. Younger women trust men who can handle tension calmly. It signals emotional maturity. Emotional maturity is one of the primary reasons younger women seek older men in the first place. When that maturity disappears under pressure, the illusion breaks, and once broken, it's difficult to restore. The final layer most older men never consider is identity erosion. Over time, if you repeatedly suppress leadership to maintain harmony, you slowly lose yourself in the connection. Younger women sense this before you do. They feel when a man's sense of self begins to bend too much, and when a man loses his center, attraction cannot survive.
Younger women don't want to absorb a man's identity, they want to orbit something solid. This is why leadership is not optional, it's foundational. One of the last subtle signs she is waiting for you to lead is emotional distance paired with politeness. She's kind, she's respectful, she's not rude, but the spark feels gone. Older men often try to revive the spark by doing more, giving more, explaining more. This only accelerates the loss. Attraction cannot be negotiated back into existence. It can only be restored through grounded presence and direction. Many men ask too late, "How do I fix this?" The honest answer is that prevention is far easier than repair. Once a younger woman internally reframes you as emotionally passive, her nervous system stops responding to you romantically. That shift happens quietly, no argument, no drama, just a subtle closing. This is why understanding these signs early matters so deeply. Leadership is not age privilege, it's about responsibility. When you choose to date younger women, you are stepping into a role whether you acknowledge it or not. Younger women project expectations onto older men instinctively. When you fulfill them calmly, attraction feels effortless. When you resist them, confusion follows. The greatest regret older men share is not rejection, it's realizing too late that they misunderstood the dynamic. They realized the woman wasn't asking for perfection, money, or constant attention. She was asking for direction. Direction in pacing, direction in emotional flow, direction in intention. And when she didn't receive it, she adjusted. Not because she wanted to leave, but because she didn't feel safe opening emotionally. This is the warning about girlfriends nobody gave you. Younger women don't leave because you're flawed. They leave because the structure they expected never formed. Older men who understand this stop overthinking. They stop chasing. They stop apologizing for their presence. They lead calmly, and attraction organizes itself naturally around them. And when they do, dating younger women stops feeling risky and starts feeling aligned. That alignment is rare, powerful, and deeply fulfilling when done right. If this already sounds uncomfortably familiar, you're not alone. Most older men were never taught this side of attraction. So, take a second, like this video, and subscribe to the channel. Everything here is built to help older men avoid silent mistakes that cost years of emotional peace.